In this video, I'm going to be sharing what I eat in a day to maintain the weight that I lost using Mounjaro. So I recently hit my goal weight, but really this is where I believe the hardest part begins. It's not just about losing the weight, it's being able to maintain the weight that is lost whilst I am working on titrating down from my Mounjaro dose to eventually the goal for me is to be able to come off it. And I want to be able to do that in a way where I maintain the fat that I've lost and also the muscle that I've built. And I do still have some areas like I would still like to lose more belly fat, but so it's not so much weight loss, but I am still working on a little bit of a body recomposition. So I'm very happy with where I got to on my weight loss journey, and now the goal is maintaining. So I thought it'd be useful to share what I eat in a day now on that I'm on a maintenance, and also I'll talk at the end of the video of how this is different from when I was in a weight loss phase. It's a very subtle change that I've noticed as hunger has started to come back to what I'm eating now versus what I was before, and I've been titrating down for about 2 weeks. I tend to eat a lot of the similar things, so I've been managing to maintain on this first 2 weeks that I've been off, so it is still early days. I'm going to share everything that I ate on this day, but I do want you to keep in mind that I actually hate tracking my food, and I don't want to be that type of person who has to obsess over every morsel of food. So I've done this in a way that is very much an estimation. I have been using ChatGPT to work out my calories and macros, so they're probably not going to be exact, and I didn't weigh everything out, and I don't think that we have to live our lives weighing and tracking everything. It's just not sustainable. It can be time consuming and it's damn right boring, and I've got better things to be doing with my life. So I did use ChatGPT to help me estimate the calories and macros on this. So please keep in mind that it is an estimation. And whilst I'm not a huge fan of tracking food, it can definitely be useful in like short periods of time to just really get a gauge of where you're at. I was quite surprised on this on the actual calorie amount, but it's really given me a good guide on like what I need to be doing going forward. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I'm having for the day is a protein smoothie. If you've seen any of my previous videos, this has been a staple meal for me for many years. I swear by this as my breakfast. I have it every single day. Now I know some people will say we shouldn't be eating the same foods every day, but it's just one less thing that I have to think about. One, I really enjoy it. Two, it leaves me full. And three, it gives me a shed load of nutrients that my body needs all first thing in the morning. I should preface this, I do also have a massive glass of water first thing in the morning, and I do like to try and have my breakfast before I have caffeine. That doesn't always work out, but it is one thing that I try and work towards. So in my protein smoothie, I put a little bit of water in the bottom, then I'm adding in my frozen veggies. These veggies do not add any flavour to the smoothie. The flavour is going to come from the berries. So I add in frozen cauliflower, frozen spinach, I then add in my frozen berries, and then topping up with an unsweetened almond milk. In addition to this, I put in psyllium husk. It's a high fiber grain which really helps aid my digestive system. I'm someone who can sometimes need a little bit of support with my digestion. Having this amount of fiber first thing in the morning not only helps me to hit my fiber targets along with those veggies, it's going to help to have my morning number 2 so that I feel that I am set for the day. Also add into this 1.5 scoops of my protein powder that I use. I really like this one from Bulk because it is a high protein amount, limited sugar, limited fillers, and a fairly good quality protein. I really like this one. Works well for me. Don't seem to have any digestion or bloating from it. So I like to add 1.5 scoops so that it's giving me a full 34 grams of protein. I do also like to add a scoop of collagen into my morning smoothie. This does give added protein, but I don't really add it to my total protein amount because collagen is not a complete protein and it doesn't support the muscles in the way that a regular protein would. So I don't add this to my protein total, but it is a kind of nice to have that I like to add in there. If it can possibly support my hair, skin and nails, then I'm going to take that extra addition. So this is already first thing in the morning. It's getting 2 of the main things that I really like to prioritize. That is protein and also fiber to keep good digestion going. So already this is bringing me in around the 350 calories mark, and it is towards 50 grams of protein if we include that collagen, a little bit less, about 13 grams less if we take that out. So I'm having this. I'm going to either teach my fitness classes, maybe do my own workout, and this is going to bring me up towards about 11 o'clock. Then I go into like my work phase, so in that time I'm probably consuming mainly fluid. When it comes to fluids, I'm having usually a coffee of some description. That might be a regular black coffee or my Space Goods Rainbow Dust, which I've just done a video on. I really do enjoy that. I then also had an iced matcha latte, which I'm quite enjoying in this really hot weather when I don't want to have a hot drink. And having that caffeine in the morning helps me to remain focused. It can support me through my workouts, and I like that focus and energy without feeling like I've had a ton of coffee. So those are the caffeine choices that I choose to drink. Now, as I'm on maintenance, adding in some mid-meal snacking has started to come back in, as I've noticed I've had a little bit more hunger. This was a very simple snack. I had 2 saucisson or mini sausages, and these actually come in at around 100 calories for 2 mini sausages and give roughly 5 grams of protein. And this is one thing that has really changed. So when I was on my higher dose of Mounjaro, I was really trying to stay away from any type of snacking, so just focusing on 3 main meals a day. And this, when we come to look at the totals at the end, you'll come to see that this is where the calories really start to add up. So just taking out snacking can be a huge step forward in helping you to hit your fat loss goals. Now I'm on a maintenance, I feel okay about adding them back in, and I'm really trying to tune into my hunger levels. I am definitely feeling more hungry, and actually on these few weeks that I've come onto maintenance, I've started to realize that this is the first time I'm regularly finishing all my meals. So although I make the same size meals as I was when I was on it, I'm finding that I'm now actually finishing them, when maybe sometimes when I was in the midst of being on a slightly higher dose, I only ever went up to 5 milligrams, that I quite often didn't finish all of my meals. I've now found that I am finishing most of my meals, and I've started adding some snacking back in whilst I'm working on building my calories back up to be able to be on a maintenance phase. Lunch, again, I'm a creature of habit. I have pretty much the same thing most of the time. Today, my husband was at home, he's off work at the moment, so when he's at home, he tends to become the cook, which is absolutely wonderful to have. And I've had a breaded and mozzarella salad, and I must say I wouldn't normally have the mozzarella on there. It was in the fridge, it needed eating, it therefore went on the salad. So I'm making sure that there's a big amount of salad leaves in there to get my veggies in. I've got the breaded chicken, a decent amount of mozzarella to get some fats in as well. And again, I'm on a maintenance phase here, and what I have found is that it's really changed actually like my preferences. It's almost like you're kind of not that bothered about food sometimes. I would normally have like this, and when I was on my weight loss phase, I might have opted for something such as a grilled chicken rather than a breaded chicken, or another lean meat. I tend to eat tuna a lot, and I have found over the last few weeks that I've really gone off tuna. So I'm really trying to find foods and can find palatable and enjoy eating, and not just focusing on really making every meal as low calorie as possible. When I was in my fat loss phase on the Mounjaro, I was quite conscious about not using as much oil. I would use more balsamic vinegar. Things like that is where the calories can really start to creep up. So if you are someone who is in a phase where you're not losing body fat, then I think that those are some areas to look into. And if you are stuck in a weight loss plateau, let me know down in the comments, because maybe that's a topic that I can cover in a future video. But do keep in mind that this is more maintenance. So having that amount of mozzarella on there was some olive oil on there. So this is taking me around, I'd say, ChatGPT on this one said it around 45 grams of protein. I would say this is more like 35 to 40 with the breaded chicken, and somewhere around 500 to 600 calories for this meal. After that, I do always have a sweet tooth, and it's something that I think for the rest of my life will continue to work on, is managing my sweet tooth. So for this, I've had 2 pieces of dark chocolate, which comes in at around 100 calories. To still have some element of enjoyment in my food, I think is really important when it comes to sustainability. If I can have a couple of pieces of chocolate without having to eat the whole bar, then that's a really good way to manage my sweet tooth without going overboard. I'd either use something like this or having a piece of fruit, and I'm really trying to stay away from like really having to consume something sweet every time after a meal. And again, how this would differentiate, when I was in my weight loss phase, I would really try and stay away from having that chocolate. I didn't always, but I would try to stay away from it more often than I was having it. Afternoon snack, I had some corn cakes with peanut butter on. Again, this afternoon snack was not something that I was eating in my weight loss phase, and having something like peanut butter that is very calorie dense is something that can help those calories to creep back up as I'm in maintenance. I'm happy for those calories to be there. I want to have a certain amount of calories. Good options that you could have instead of the peanut butter. I do also enjoy having cottage cheese on rice cakes. I find that definitely a bit more filling. That's also going to help to support protein goals, but this was an afternoon snack. As I knew I was going to be doing some activity later in the day, and I wanted to make sure that I had something to eat. I am also now coming into a phase where I'm going to be upping my training because I'm training for a high rocks. So I am quite aware that I do want to get my calories back up in this maintenance phase. So again, when I was in my weight loss phase, afternoon snacks was really trying to stay away from them. Now I'm in maintenance, I'm adding them back in. And then for evening meal, this was a homemade Thai style chicken curry. I was quite aware on this one that I did only want a smallish portion of this because I was going out for an evening hike with my friend and I didn't want to get a stitch. So I had this. There was no coconut milk in this, so that's something something that really helps to keep the calories down. Adding in lots of flavour and seasoning with just a stock cube and water rather than using something very calorific like coconut milk. And then there's also a decent portion of rice in there. As I said before, I'm really trying to keep my energy levels up, and carbohydrates are really important for fueling as I'm adding in more cardio, and as on this evening I was going for an evening hike. Then for my evening, when I got back, I was having my evening Astro Dust. This is like a hot chocolate adaptogenic blend that helps me to improve my sleep. I have just done a full video on this, I will link that down below. But again, this just helps me to curb my evening sweet tooth. I probably didn't need this, but I was really focused on wanting to have a good night's sleep on this evening, and it's just kind of nice having something at the end of the day, even if it is a little bit warm right now to be having hot chocolate. I do really like this tool as a kind of like wind down routine. So let's talk about final numbers on this, because I was actually quite surprised when I looked at this at the amount of calories that were consumed. This is a fairly standard and balanced day for me, and I actually considered that it might be a lot less calories than this, and I think that is why it's important to every now and then just do a little check-in with yourself, and especially if you are like me and you are trying to come off and working on maintenance, because as the hunger starts to increase again, just tracking your food and keeping your calories in check can help as you go into this transition phase to really try and build the habits and routines, because that is going to be the most important factor when it comes to maintaining the fat that you've lost. If you go back to eating how you were before you went on this medication, then the chances are you are probably going to regain the weight. You have worked too damn hard to go and put all of that hard work and money, let's face it, to waste. So if you want to be able to maintain, you have to establish a new baseline and new habits, and that is where tracking can be a tool to help you support that. So this came in at around 2,000 calories, just under, which is what would be the recommended amount for a woman if we look at basic recommendations. Now, of course, we're all going to be very different. It's going to depend on how much activity you do. Now, I did do a video on how to calculate your calories using AI and ChatGPT. It is a very useful tool. It really helps to simplify it. But I think it's important for you to know what are your weight loss calories and what are your maintenance calories. So go and check out that video and do your maintenance calories, and that's going to help to give you a guide on what your body needs with your current weight, your current activity levels, and help you to see what you should be eating on a daily basis if you want to be able to maintain all of the hard work that you've put in so far. So that was 2,000 calories and around 150 grams of protein. So I'm hitting my protein targets. I know I'm hitting my fiber targets because I had my fiber target for the day all in my breakfast. Whilst I actually wasn't tracking this throughout the day, I'm really happy with where that is at. That is really sort of my ideal range for me personally, to kind of sit around that. I want to be somewhere between 900 to 2,200 calories per day with my activity levels, because I am up in my training. I've worked really hard to maintain my muscle mass throughout this journey. So now sitting at that is going to be a good maintenance phase for me. I'm not going to be tracking continuously. I will just check in every now and then. But for me, this is the general that I know that when I eat the same types of foods every day, if I'm going to be working out, I'll allow a little bit more snacking. If it's a non-training day, I'll try and dial back the snacking. But what I'm really working on is being able to eat good quality foods, keep my protein up around the 100, between 120 to 150 grams is going to be good for me. Maintaining my energy levels, always the most important in women in midlife is to have enough energy. When you've got enough energy, your cravings are balanced, your energy levels are balanced, and you're going to feel better on a daily basis. We're also coupling this up with making sure that we are drinking enough water. We're going to be aiming for around that 2 litres per day, making sure that you are eating good quality fats and getting in plenty of fruits and veggies. But this is where it really starts to get interesting, because we know that the studies tell us, one's just come out recently, that about 70 to 90% of people who go on these weight loss medications regain the weight back within 2 years. But that doesn't have to be the story. A lot of these studies that have been done on this weight rebound have not given any intervention on changing habits, changing lifestyle, and that is going to be the key component that is going to mean that you are going to be the person that is actually going to keep this off for the long term. That's my goal, and I'm going to be sharing all of my tips and tools along this journey on what I'm doing in the hope that it can help you to maintain your weight loss goals also. So if you are on a similar journey, then please do make sure you subscribe. I hope this video has been helpful. There's going to be lots more where these are coming from, and let me know your thoughts and questions down in the comments, because that will help shape for future videos. And if you made it this far, thanks for watching. YouTube thinks that you will like this video next. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one.